Welcome back to Black Clover Anime Review, episode number 49. This I'm reviewing the 99th episode of the anime, The Desperate Path Towards Survival, and the 218th chapter of the manga, The Worst of the Worst. Yep, this one adapts pretty much the entirety of chapters 152, 153, and they go through the first 7 pages of 154. That's as far as they go with it, this particular episode. Most of this episode is focused in like one room. I would say about 70% of the episodes like this. You have Meliona battling the 5 elves from 2 episodes back. Yeah, we pick up right where the second to last episode that aired. Not last week's episode, but episode prior to that, where we saw Meliona basically throwing Asta and Zora into another room. Yep. And, well, Asta wants to go and save her, but he wants to see a particular moment. Like, okay. And Meliona, like, wow, she just basically just battles right through these guys. It takes a while. And throughout the whole list, basically her clothes are shredding. Yes. Not to the point where she's showing any nudity, thank God. Yeah. And then she, like, they try to use one attack on one particular person, then Lyra just uses his dimensional power, which he copied from another member of the I Midnight Sun, and just goes right through one of his own companions just to block Meliona. This lasts for a good long while, and then Meliona uses this purgatory burst, which pretty much destroys like the four elves basically wearing the Royal Knights robes. Yeah, the robes are all pretty much destroyed. Yeah, though in the manga they show a little more skin than they do in the anime. It's a slight minor change, but I don't have a problem with it. Not really, no. It's a minor thing. But mostly it's a little bit like under the side, like near where the armpit is. Yeah, there's a little more skin shown there. Like almost like a side breast for the 2 ladies that are there. But here it's a little bit more covered, but it's a minor thing. And then they do this big quadruple attack on Meliona, who basically is bleeding like crazy. Yes. And then all of a sudden, Asta and Zora pop in the room, interrupting the fight. And they block attack really well. Zora basically absorbs the attack into like a trap beside his own chest, and takes it back, shoots it back at Asta. He just blasts right back at him, basically, and it reflects right back at them, blocking him. And then Zora uses Ash Magic to dissolve the floor, picks up Meliona, and drops her right through the floor. He just grabs her and just, of course, you don't see him grab her. He just basically, he just grabbed her at some point. She's pretty much almost falling unconscious. So they're like falling down, getting away from them. All of a sudden, Lyra pops in through one of the dimensional portal, grabs Asta by the arm, and then Asta just throws Meliona to Zora, and he just gets out of the place really easy, along with like Noelle and another person who's not turned himself, and Noelle's brothers, Captain Silva and his companion. Now, as for what's up with her cousin Meliona, her team is basically turned to elves, and they pretty much just she tries blocking their attacks with her plant magic, doesn't really work, and then she's put up like on a cross. Good thing they don't crucify her. Yeah, they put up on a cross. Asta's gonna free her, and then he sees that everybody's been turned to elves. Like, so they're like everybody else who's turned to elves. Meliona basically is quite surprised to hear that. Actually, Mimosa, she's surprised to hear that, and then the episode ends with Asta looking behind him to see Yuno, who's turned elf, and he basically yells Yuno's name, and that's where the episode ends. And it looks like next week's episode we're gonna have a continuation of this, plus we're gonna pick up where last week's episode left off with the whole thing with with Yami and Fenrir. We're continuing with their plot thread next episode. I'm not surprised that they actually decided to do this more, because last week was all focused on like 2 fights, basically spread over the course about 2 chapters. Yeah, and in the case this one, kind of the same thing. Do one, and basically I'll go back to next week doing kind of what they did 2 weeks prior. Basically, with next week's episode, Basically, going back to what they were doing 3 weeks prior, but dipping like a little bit here and a little bit there before they get close enough to the point where they adapt pretty much all portion of this. So they might just finish up this chapter like 154 and probably do 155 and probably 173 and maybe start 174. Who knows? It just depends on exactly what Studio Parrot wants to do when it comes to the series. But this is a good episode. Now on to the newest chapter of the manga. We see return of Rebecca Scarlet, first time in quite a while. I think the last time she was seen was actually in the early portion of, was actually during the fight between the Wizard King and Lasat. That was the last time she was seen. Yeah, and she's basically running to the orphanage where Marie basically is staying at, and she's shocked basically at the paper, which has the whole thing Asta being a devil, and of course the king is basically sweating like crazy. Yeah. Actually, it's not the king. This is actually the priest that stays at Asta's village, Hot Village. And Sister Lily's basically shocked at seeing Teresa, a devil user. What is this? And of course, if I was like, something kind of mistake. And then we see, I think it's supposed to be the former captain of the Purple Orcas, Sally. I think this guy was one of the members of MS. I think his name is, I don't remember his name. I think it was Randall. I think it was. And apparently, because they're held in prison, their guard is Jack the Ripper. Okay, so yeah, tell them to get back to work. And we cut straight to the Golden Dawn, where you see Claus, Mimosa, and they're shocked by this too. And of course, she mentions that the guy who was the judge of this case basically passed judgment on his own father. So Asta is a very good justice system. We see Asta basically floating above them, carrying Marie. I was only showing true form. He's like, okay, it's like I won't harm anybody. And of course, they don't believe him. When they kill him, they give up. And it tells them they're evil. And then, boom! Hole in the wall. Who comes through? Or we see various images. We see various people talking about Asta. And who comes to the wall? Why, it's the Black Bulls. Yep. Basically, Goosh, Charmy, Luck, of course, Noelle's there too, Gordon, Magna, Yumi, Zora, Fenril, Vanessa, and Gray. The Black Bulls. Yeah, all shocked. He's like, yeah, and of course, he says, You're defending the criminal who caused the Great War. Do you understand what the Black Bulls do position? Huh? What? Didn't you know? We're the lowest brigade. Worst the worst. But the pair with the horns over her. But the pair with horns over there are members if you're playing the rest of them. Huh? Apparently, Nero's part of the group somehow. Then Scoundrels or whatever. We'll become whatever you say we are, loser. And Asta basically shocked to see they're there. He's like, you guys, almost like starting crying. And that's where the chapter ends. Really good chapter, and I'm definitely looking forward to next week. I'm going to give this chapter roughly a 9.5 out of 10. It's really good. I hope that Yumi basically beats the crap out of this guy for accusing Asta of being a traitor. Perhaps instead of trying Asta, maybe, I don't know, you could try Petty, the guy who actually started all this nonsense in the first place, instead of trying Asta because he has the power, because he uses anti-magic. Yeah, this guy is a complete buffoon. Yeah, and I wonder why he's going to become the most hated character of the whole series. I wouldn't be surprised. I mean, I'm sure like all the readers reading Black Clover at this point probably like, yeah, this guy is so full of it. Yep, so that's it for this particular review. My next one, which I'm going to do next, is a review of the newest chapter of Blue Exorcist. Okay? But do you see you next view? Bye.